The coffee mug slipped from my fingers, shattering across the kitchen floor as I stared at Jake's empty side of the bed through the doorway. Tuesday morning. He'd been gone since Thursday night. 5 days. I'd replayed that last evening 1,000 times. We'd eaten dinner together, his favorite lasagna. He'd kissed my forehead, said he was meeting his brother for drinks, and walked out into the October rain. That was it. No dramatic argument. No warning signs. Just gone. The first night, I'd called him 17 times. Each call went straight to voicemail. By morning, panic had wrapped itself around my chest like a vice. I called Tom, his brother. "Haven't heard from him, Melissa?" Tom said, confusion evident in his voice. "We didn't have plans." My hands trembled as I contacted his office. "Mr. Reynolds hasn't been in since Thursday," his secretary informed me cheerfully. He emailed that he was taking personal days. Personal days? He never mentioned anything to me. I filed a missing persons report on Saturday. The officer was sympathetic but unhelpful. "No signs of foul play, ma'am. Adult men have the right to leave. Has your marriage been stable?" Stable. I thought so. 10 years together. We just celebrated our anniversary last month with a weekend in the mountains. He'd held me close by the fireplace, whispered that I was his forever. We'd made love that night with the intensity of newlyweds, his hands exploring my body like he was memorizing every curve. Had I missed something? By Sunday, worry had transformed into something darker. I began searching. His laptop was gone, but his iPad was still in his office. I opened it, hands shaking, feeling guilty and desperate in equal measure. Nothing unusual, just work emails and sports news. Monday brought the first real clue. I was checking our joint bank account, looking for any activity, any sign of life when I saw it. A pending charge from Saturday night. Ocean View Resort and Spa, $847.32. My breath caught. The Ocean View was expensive. Romantic. It was where couples went for anniversaries and honeymoons, perched on cliffs overlooking the Pacific, 2 hours north of our suburban home. I clicked on the charge with trembling fingers, my stomach already knowing what my mind refused to accept. The description showed the reservation details. 2 guests. Check-in, October 19th. Check-out, October 21st. 2 guests. The room suddenly felt too small. I walked to the bathroom and vomited, my body rejecting the truth before my mind could process it. When I looked up into the mirror, I barely recognized the woman staring back. Eyes red-rimmed, face pale, looking 10 years older than she had 5 days ago. That's when something inside me shifted. The tears dried up. The shaking stopped. I had 48 hours before he was due to check out. Time to make some calls. I sat in my car outside the Ocean View Resort on Tuesday afternoon, watching the entrance with predator focus. I'd driven the coastal highway in a trance, my knuckles white on the steering wheel, not trusting myself to think too deeply about what I was doing. My phone buzzed. Karen, my college roommate and still my closest friend, calling for the 3rd time. I texted her the basics. Jake vanished, hotel receipt, possible affair. "Mel, where are you?" Her voice was tight with worry. "Outside the hotel." "Jesus, don't go in there. Come to my place. We'll figure this out." "I'm not going in," I said quietly. "I just need to see." I didn't have to wait long. At 3:47 p.m., the resort's main doors opened, and Jake stepped out into the autumn sunlight. He wasn't alone. She was younger than me, maybe 28 to my 35. Long auburn hair catching the light, dressed in clothes I recognized. Expensive boutique pieces similar to ones Jake had recently said we couldn't afford. His hand rested on the small of her back with casual ownership as they walked toward the valet stand. They were laughing. I lifted my phone with surprisingly steady hands and started recording. Jake leaned down, whispering something in her ear that made her throw her head back in delight. Then he kissed her. Not a peck, but a deep, possessive kiss that made my stomach turn. His hand slid down to grip her hip in that familiar way he used to touch me during our early dating years. Before we got comfortable, Before intimacy became routine, I captured it all. 3 minutes of footage that dismantled 10 years of marriage. When they drove away in his car, our car, the SUV we'd picked out together last spring, I sat in stunned silence. The evidence was undeniable now. This wasn't a misunderstanding or a mental health crisis. This was betrayal, deliberate and cruel. I drove home in the dark, my mind eerily calm. The crying would come later, I knew. But right now, I needed to think strategically. Back home, I created a new folder on my laptop titled Financial Records 2024 and began downloading everything. Bank statements showing the hotel charges, credit card bills revealing dinners for 2 at restaurants he'd claimed were work meetings, even a Venmo payment to someone named Brit with a heart emoji. Brit, probably her name. I printed it all. Every receipt, every statement, every transaction that told the story of his double life. The evidence filled a manila folder that I placed carefully in my desk drawer. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I called Amanda Richardson, the divorce attorney whose billboard I passed every day on my commute. Her tagline was, "Protecting your future when love ends." How prophetic. "I need to file for divorce," I told her when she answered. "And I need to do it quickly." "Tell me everything," she said gently. So I did. Wednesday morning, I sat across from Amanda in her downtown office. She was younger than I'd expected. Early 40s, sharp-eyed, with an expression that said she'd seen every variation of marital betrayal imaginable. "You've documented everything?" she asked, reviewing the folder I'd brought. "Everything I could find." She nodded approvingly. "This is good. Very good. The hotel charges, the timeline, the photographs, all admissible. Does he know you're aware?" "No. He thinks I'm just the worried wife at home." Amanda's expression hardened. "Good. Keep it that way. We'll file tomorrow morning. In California, with this evidence, you're looking at a favorable settlement. The house, half his retirement accounts, possibly spousal support depending on income disparity." "I don't want his money," I said quietly. "I just want out." "You're hurt right now, Melissa. But don't make decisions based on emotion. You've been married 10 years. You're entitled to half of everything accumulated during that time. Make him pay for what he's done." I thought about that. 10 years of my life. I'd supported him through graduate school, taking on extra freelance work while he finished his MBA. We talked about starting a family soon. I'd even stopped taking birth control last month. Thank God we didn't have children yet. "Okay," I said finally. "Whatever you think is fair." Amanda smiled grimly. "I'll make sure it is." Thursday was the longest day of my life. Jake was due back that evening. His hotel checkout was confirmed for 11 a.m. I cleaned the house, cooked dinner, and played the role of unsuspecting wife with an actress's precision. Around 4 p.m., I laid everything out on the dining room table. The folder of evidence. The divorce papers Amanda's office had rushed through. A separate envelope containing my wedding ring. I'd removed it that morning, and my finger felt strangely light without it. I'd also packed 3 suitcases with his clothes and personal items, leaving them by the front door. He wouldn't be staying here tonight. At 6:47 p.m., I heard his key in the lock. My heart hammered, but I kept my breathing steady. I'd practiced this moment in my mind 100 times. I would not cry. I would not scream. I would not give him the satisfaction of seeing me broken. The door opened. Jake walked in, dropping his keys on the entry table with that casual confidence of someone who believes he's gotten away with something. His hair was slightly messy, his shirt wrinkled. He looked like a man returning from a romantic getaway, which of course he was. Then he saw me sitting at the dining table, and his expression shifted to what I can only describe as smug amusement. "Melissa," he said, that familiar condescending tone creeping into his voice. "Before you start with the dramatics." "Sit down, Jake," I interrupted quietly. Something in my voice made him pause. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across his face. "We need to talk," I continued, gesturing to the chair across from me. Jake didn't sit. Instead, he crossed his arms, that smirk returning to his face, the one that used to seem charming but now looked grotesque. "Look, I know you're upset, But honestly, Melissa, you're overreacting. I needed some space. Clear my head. Is that a crime? Space? I repeated flatly. At a luxury resort. For 5 days. With another woman. The color drained from his face. What are you? Sit. Down. This time my voice cut like glass. He sat. I slid the folder across the polished wood table we'd picked out together at that vintage shop in Portland. His hand trembled slightly as he opened it. I watched his eyes move across the printed hotel receipts, the credit card statements, the photographs I'd taken outside the ocean view. That's Brit, I said conversationally. Pretty name. I'm sure she's lovely. Does she know you're married? That we just celebrated 10 years together last month. Jake's jaw worked soundlessly. The arrogance was evaporating, replaced by something that looked like panic. Melissa, listen. No, you listen. I leaned forward. 5 days, Jake. 5 days you let me think you were dead. I filed a police report. I called hospitals. I imagined you in a ditch somewhere. Do you understand what you put me through? I was going to tell you. When? My voice rose despite my best efforts. After your next romantic weekend? After you'd emptied our accounts? Or were you just going to keep living your double life indefinitely? He tried a different approach, his voice turning soft. Mel, baby, we can work through this. I made a mistake. I was confused. But what we had, I corrected. Past tense. I slid the second document across the table. His eyes widened as he recognized the legal letterhead. Divorce papers, I said simply. Already filed as of this morning. You'll be served officially tomorrow, but I wanted you to hear it from me first. Jake's face went from pale to red. You can't just, this is insane. Over one mistake. One mistake. I laughed, and it sounded foreign even to my own ears. Jake, there are 6 months of charges here. Hotel rooms, dinners, jewelry purchases. You've been planning this for half a year. He stood abruptly, the chair scraping against hardwood. Fine. Fine. You want a divorce? You'll get one. But don't think you're getting everything. I'll fight you on every cent. I don't think so. I remained seated, calm. California is a no-fault state, but adultery impacts settlement decisions. My attorney is very good. You'll be lucky to keep your car. His hands clenched into fists. For a moment, I wondered if he might actually become violent. But then he seemed to deflate, the fight draining out of him. This is really happening, he said, more to himself than to me. Yes, I replied. It really is. Jake grabbed his keys from the table, his movements jerky and uncertain. I need to think. I'll come back for my things. Your things are already packed. I gestured toward the 3 suitcases by the door. You can stay at Brit's tonight, or a hotel. I don't really care. But you're not sleeping here. He stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Maybe this version of me, calm, decisive, unbreakable, was someone neither of us had met before. Melissa, his voice cracked. 10 years. Doesn't that mean anything to you? I stood slowly, walking around the table until I was close enough to see the genuine confusion in his eyes. Part of me wanted to rage, to hurt him the way he'd hurt me, but a larger part just felt tired. It meant everything, I said softly. That's why this is unforgivable. You didn't just cheat, Jake. You vanished. You let me suffer. And then you walked back in here like I should be grateful for your return. I picked up my wedding ring from the envelope, held it up to the light. It caught the evening sun streaming through the window, creating little rainbows across the wall. You said something when you walked in, I continued. You told me to relax, to be grateful you even came back. Do you remember that? He had the decency to look ashamed. That's when I knew, I said. That's when I realized I wasn't losing my husband, because the man I married would never say something like that. I lost you months ago. I just didn't know it yet. I placed the ring on the table between us with a soft clink. So no, Jake, those 10 years don't mean anything anymore. Not because I don't care, but because you didn't. He grabbed the suitcases without another word and walked out. The door closed behind him with a finality that echoed through the suddenly quiet house. I stood there for a long moment, waiting for the tears, the collapse, the breakdown I'd been holding at bay for 5 days. But it didn't come. Instead, I felt something unexpected. Relief. My phone buzzed. Karen. How did it go? I typed back. He's gone. I'm okay. 3 dots appeared. Then, wine and bad movies at my place? I smiled, my first genuine smile in 5 days. Give me an hour. I walked through the house, our house, soon to be my house, and started opening windows. Fresh air flooded in, carrying away the staleness of secrets and lies. In the bedroom, I stripped the sheets from our bed and threw them in the wash. Tomorrow I'd buy new ones, different colors, a fresh start. Tonight, I'd drink wine with my best friend and remember who I was before Jake, and figure out who I'd become after. The woman in the mirror looked back at me with clear eyes. She was stronger than she knew.